So, hi everybody, welcome. Thanks for taking the time. Truly appreciate it. At Foundership, we are founder first, and we believe we understand the business of Web3. So, from a lot of you, especially all the founders here, are inspirational for a lot of the founders in the audience today. And of course, the VCs, we can't do anything without capital, right? So, we all know the importance of capital in this whole way. So, let's start from talk about what capital does for a startup, for a young startup, and especially Sandeep, when you guys were starting out and you went out to raise your first round, what did you do? How did you go about it?
So when we were raising our funds back in like 2017 and early 2018, the ecosystem was not that big in India. So and globally also we were going through a massive bear market where everything had crashed like 90% or whatever. So nobody wanted to invest. So for us it was very difficult, and we only could raise some very small funds with angels. That too all across the world and all that, like it's very hard. But I think like once we did, like we could never raise any VC fund around, right? We only did then we did a public sale IEO at Binance at like $26 million, but then we did a VC round at $10 billion valuation. So that was the kind of like crazy part of the journey. But what capital does is like definitely I think the most important part is the talent part, right? So when we were small and we did not have that much funds, like our development was also it could not be as fast as we would have thought, and obviously business development is also difficult. So once you have capital, I think things become much easier. If your intention is correct, then you can do wonders with that. But that intention being correct is very important. That's where people lose attract a lot.
Amazing. Aniket, I wanted to share your experience.
We were pretty much in the same boat as that of Sandeep also. Not as bad though. 2019 when we started, I still remember first round, Polygon gave us the first round. So it was I think 10-15 years something, and that was our runway for 6 months. We were so bad at that time. We used to reach out to VCs and everyone used to say, well, I come from a family business, so most of the VCs were like, shut this down and go back to family business. What is it? The same way market kind of thing. But ultimately what we realized is like, if anyone has to start, to get enough validation, there's a lot of grants and a lot of open initiatives available in the market. So you essentially don't need like the VC money to happen and like this to start the journey. A lot of projects nowadays it's like abundance. There are like so many other projects out there with grants. So you can kickstart at least reach to an MVP stage without like raising a VC money. And of course like with capital, of course, it helps sort of giving some mental comfort to founders. It's subjective, like some are like it, some are don't like it. But yeah, it's having talent and also more focus on getting forward. That's also.
So Rohit and Shiva, I'm going to flip this question for you. When young founders or young startups approach you, what is it that you look for? What should they be focusing on when talking to a VC? And I understand Sikova may not do very early stage, but say answer it for the stage at which you would enter, and Rohit, answer it for the stage at which you would enter.
Sure. So I think Web3 investing principles are exactly the same as Web2. In my mind, there's no difference. The investing principles are, you look at the team and the founders, that's absolutely the most important thing. Number two, you look at the value proposition, what is the problem that they're solving, and is their solution unique? Number three, I'd say competitive landscape, and that's one thing that where I find a lot of Web3 founders, especially the younger Web3 founders, are a little lacking on. But they're not completely aware of everyone, what they're doing in this space, how differentiated their approach is versus everyone else's approach. They're just not as aware. But yeah, I would say those are the basic things that you look at, which is very similar to how you would look at it in the Web2 space.
Yeah. So I think like many people think that Secular does not do early stage investing, but like we come in as early as it gets. I think we have done like pre-product investments as well, especially in the crypto space. So yeah, like we are multi-stage. We can come in as early as it gets. Now, coming to advice to founders, I think, like Rohit said, just get the basics right when it comes to blockchain. Focus on solving the real problems for real people. And like Sandeep always says, it doesn't have to be new things, it can be existing things which can be done in a 10x better way using blockchain. If you have a token model, just think hard about how the economics would work, like how the value capture will happen. In Web3, we see a lot of companies and like launching token very prematurely and then using techniques like token incentives to get usage. So while that might help you attract some early adopters, but we are not sure how like it would work in the long term, because those users are generally mercenary and give you a fake sense of PMF. So you should not like launch token very prematurely. Think a lot like hard about like how the token fits into the entire protocol. Just keep iterating at a high velocity till you find the right metrics. And
perfect. I think one thing Aniket said was very important, that till your MVP stage, right, you don't actually need too much capital. Like, I think we are all coming from this last 10, 15, 20 years of bull market, this startup space, right? Infinite amount of capital available, little bit blips here and there, but mostly capital has been available for people. So as founders, I think we should think of building things like at least basic MVP, some number of users and all that, with as low cost as possible. Like I think actually I see so many people here, like how many of you guys have received some sort of like Polygon Village grant or early seed stage funding from Polygon, like 50, 100K or this thing, like as Aniket said, how many of you, like if some people can raise funds, raise hands.
We got some too.
You also got some, but yeah, I mean, whoever is builder here, like I mean, if you are building any application, I see so many people, like some people are not raising hands. Now he is. Yeah, so basically, but like that with that brief and like small grants and all that which are available in crypto, you can actually build your basic MVPs, attract basic users, and go forward from there. That's the main thing here, especially now. And even many of you guys, when you are applying to even Polygon also, I want to say that now it's not as easy as it was before. So, think about your product differentiation properly, like at least try to build something different. That's all I'm trying to say. Like if, do not like, let's say simply like I'm building an NFT marketplace. What is the differentiation? No differentiation, right? Like, so that kind of thing do not do. Like just for the sake of doing a token. Because I see that mentality still like in India a lot, like okay, I'm building this and I'll do a token and then it make money on that. Only thing is like, first of all, it was hard to do before also, it was not the recommended thing. Now, main thing is it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If you think that you are launching a token, you're going to launch a token and all that, it will work and all that, now that doesn't work, that market is over. So you have to be very heavily focused on differentiating your product or differentiating your go-to market, which ensures that you will get or you have got large number of users. Like I'm telling this, I'm going to repeat that also in ETH India and this and also like this does not work, guys. Like you launching some bare minimum application and doing a token does not work. Do not do it anymore. It only spoils your reputation and spoils the reputation of the whole ecosystem also. Super.
Exactly, I was coming to the token point of things. Earlier it was super easy. This white paper token, use millions of dollars. And that was the mindset also. Like why people wanted to do Web3 project was just to do tokens. That was the mindset. But that mentality it's gone, like that won't work at all in this time. At the same time, I would also say that last time ETH India was like I think 300, 400 people. We got like 20 registration. There's so many people here, there's so many devs here. So be shameless in terms of asking and ideating what you have to ask. This hackathons are basically in terms of validating what you're building is actually viable, whether it's a big problem solved or not. Or I mean, you don't want to build a pager when you already use cell phones, right? So that's a sort of a prime solution that just be shameless, talk to as many people. There are a bunch of devs coming from different parts of the world here. Talk to ecosystem teams, like our entire dev team is also here, just validate and see like how viable your idea is and just go for it. Good thing right now is that like in terms of grants, earlier there were not even grants. There were only like Polygon doing grants like back then. But now there's so many other projects also doing grants. So it can easily go to the MVP stage, without actually like preparing which ones.
Makes sense. So I'm going to borrow Sandeep's point on intent and Rohit and Shiva, as an investor or allocating capital on behalf of your LPs, how do you judge intent from young startups? Right? How do you differentiate 50 people you meet in a month? And what are the signs you look for? Because I meet a lot of young startup founders and they really mean well, but then things go a very later. So how do you judge it while taking decisions to allocate capital?
Yeah, so whenever we meet founders in crypto, we ask ourselves, if crypto prices were to crash 90% tomorrow, will this guy still be building? So this answer gives us a clear picture of the intent of the founder. And then I think it's just the basics, right? So I think having multiple round of interactions with them, doing some references on them, talking to people with whom they have worked closely on what their opinion is of them. I think these are some basic stuff that we also do along with that.
And I think I would echo that. I think the best is reference checks, which we all do before we invest. But a lot of founders in the Web3 space are fairly young, and you don't have, they're not referenceable. That means that they're not good. And, in those times it comes down to subjectivity, honestly. But the other thing it comes down to is how detailed and how nuanced a point of view do they have in the industry. A lot of people, and I see that's changed over the last 3 to 6 months, but 3 to 6 months back, people would come and, they want to launch a business, they want to launch an NFT marketplace with a token, and they didn't truly understand, what the entire ecosystem was. That would tell me that they're non-serious about it. They're just in there to make a quick buck. And those were some of the kind of, red flags that we pick up. But it's very subjective.
Yeah, and I want to add, and I have a suggestion for the venture funds also here in the crowd. I was just giving you an example of my new bonds fund also. Web3 is so early; it changes every 6 months. 6 months before, if you met me in January 2021, you would be saying this NFT thing will never work, and suddenly in 3 months you saw a $70 million NFT selling, and then suddenly there's the PFP mania all over the world. So it changes very fast. So at the risk of getting some flack from the entrepreneurs itself, I would tell you to the venture capitalist funds that in Web3 do not do big rounds early on. I see a lot of Shivam, your fraternity only, the large scale ones, doing $10 million rounds for pre-product or very early stage MVP product projects, right? So it's too early. So I feel that it should be incremental. You be there with the founder, maybe do another round in 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months. Here you don't need to do those equity rounds which take 3 months to finish and all that. These are party rounds. They are raising next round. Okay, whoever is putting in and all that. So that's the main thing I want to say, because it's as Zoth was saying that it's very subjective. It's very hard to find that intent just by interviewing someone, right? So I would say the best way to find that out is going along with their journey over 6-12 months at least, and then do incremental rounds instead of just putting in one round 5 million, 10 million in an 18 in one go. That's the one recommendation I want to give to venture capital friends also.
Super interesting.
I'm sorry to all the builders who might thinking that this guy is he has raised his own funds, now he's writing out on us. But I think it's very important right now in the ecosystem, otherwise we'll keep having these problems.
Absolutely, and I think it's really appreciable that you are openly admitting that you did a $26 million round, and then you did a $10 million round because you needed it.
No. I said we did a round at $26 million valuation, and which was a public round. And before that, we had done $10 million round, which was an angel round. And after that, straight we did a VC round at $10 billion valuation. That was the thing I was doing. But in crypto, you can do that. That's why I'm saying you don't need that much funds. You build your MVP, get users, then launch when your community is expecting your token, launch your token, maybe you'll do an actual VC round at $2-3 billion valuation, $5 billion valuation, who knows?
Makes a lot of sense. So, one question is, how do young startups pivot or accept analysis or sort of critique? Because I see a lot of young startups don't really want to accept when they're told that probably you need to relook this model or you need to look at these competitors who've raised like millions of dollars. So what should young founders do, or how do they go about evaluating the feedback they get?
I would, like as Sandeep mentioned also, and I would say not even 6 months, and crypto every month things change, So you can't just build something and just be, like very stuck to it. This is something going to go lifelong for you. This is something we also did. Like when we started Economy, we were doing staking, baking at that time. That was, we thought, okay, this is how we should be starting a company. But 3 months into the line, we realized, okay, this is pretty early for us. And maybe we are not the right people to do something like this. So we, I reiterated, we in fact chatted with some and few other people in the industry. And then we sort of pivoted to what we're doing now, like solving the UX. Kind of realized what's the point of securing the network, like when this no users are happening, when people are not able to use all these applications, there's no users happening. So we had to do it. And still, even like in our rapid launch, we say that we have to be flexible. And maybe certain things that we're planning the roadmap, we might have to read up in like 3 months, 4 months. So in Web2 also it happens probably early, but in Web2 you always have to be vigilant because things would probably disappear. There's a few things that were kind of happening in 1890, you don't see it happening at all now. So one thing is like you have to be pretty active, involved in the community. Like a lot of founders don't it's just like use on community at all. They're just building in bubbles and you see whatever building is something everyone's going to use it. So you have to be pretty involved in the community and get all the feedback from there. There's get like a decent advisory board, not just to raise money, but in general who can give you good advice or can just talk about like what's happening in the industry, so that you get a foresight, what is happening, what's going to be happening 6 months from now. So all these are good points, but like we have to be really flexible in terms of how we're looking at things.
Makes sense. Rohit and Shubham, any thoughts on those?
Yeah, I think pivoting is one of the most difficult things a founder can do. Everything to do with entrepreneurship is difficult. Pivoting is definitely one of the toughest problems. And every company pivots. Literally 90% of the companies pivot. पर ये बोलना आसान है, when you are actually in the midst of it, वो करना बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल होता है. There's no doubt about that. I think the only thing you can do is like Aniket was saying, just be aware of what's happening in the ecosystem. Be humble to understand that you can be wrong. Don't extend your build cycle too long. छोटे build cycles करके take quick feedback, because if you're too invested, 6 महीना लगा दिया to release a product, and then you're just too invested to take a step back. And the last thing is, at the end of the day, when I was an entrepreneur, my investor told me this, that at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, your entire life is this product. So हम लोग तो as an investor, we are taking a portfolio deal. If a company doesn't work, it's unfortunate, but it won't change our lives. For an entrepreneur, if it doesn't work and you kind of stick to it and उस पे लगे रहोगे, you're going to end up hurting yourself, and not only yourself, your family. So I think you got to be humble enough and realize at the end of the day, the founder is the only one who knows the business and can take the decision. But talk to enough number of people and get multiple points of view.
Super. I would also say that a mental model this way, that the failure in your startup is not the failure. The bigger failure is actually waste of time. Like if you end up wasting 1 year of your life, of your entrepreneurial energy, you're wasting time.
Yeah, probably just like one thing to add. So try to surround yourself with people who would give you honest feedback. Treat your investors as your sparring partners. Treat your investors as sparring partners who will challenge you at every point. And like these guys said, don't be too emotionally attached to what you're building, and have that humility and have that eagerness to read the signals and pivot if it's required.
Super. We're going to have the last question. I'm going to go around and let all of you answer. And that is, what's your view on Web3? What do you think is, how do we get the first billion people to use Web3? And I know you guys are solving for it, so.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like scalability is the most important thing. Like, right now we don't have scale to build those large number of users, build for large number of users. Hopefully, in next 6 to 12 months, we are all going to reach there with some of the cutting edge layer technology that is coming up. But again, nothing of that is like silver bullet or like magic bullet, and it will be incrementally solved. Apart from that, like when we say getting users into Web3, I was just debating this part only that we think of Web3 as some vertical, that just like healthcare, pharma, this like the technology, this is a it's not a vertical, it's a horizontal. It's basically computation. Like the way cloud computing today is like centralized compute, this is decentralized compute. And for whichever sector, decentralized computation in whatever context makes sense, they will use it. So yeah, I mean we have to think of it as a horizontal. And when I think like that, I feel that in 5 to 10 years we'll probably see hopefully 3-digit million users.
Super. Along with scalability, I would say like accessibility that comes with better users is really important with the next billion. And that's something we've been trying to solve.
Everybody is trying to sell their own product, and they say
You stole my line.
That's something we started 3 years ago. I still remember first day when I downloaded MetaMask, it took me 3 days. Like to understand, seed phrase, storing it, using it. I think it's still not there. Like it's still not better than it was. Back then the active application used to have like 200 users. So we have to get rid of all this, bad onboarding steps with, better logins, better engagement steps. So there are two aspects to it, right? How we can simplify the onboarding. Once onboarding is there, how we can simplify the engagement. How do we remove all this like multi-transactions to single transactions, and like all the intricacies of blockchain should be sort of hidden for users. That's how I see how it's going on.
This is good, like, and I see that in India, good part is like now we have entrepreneurs on all 3 layers. Like first is the scalability, like we are doing, some others are doing. Then you use very nice word. What was that? Then the accessibility. Then the accessibility which these guys are solving, and I see some other startups are also solving some middleware. Some people are building around that. And then it's engagement. Like so, engagement, like people like IndieGG and all that. Like they are working on the engagement layer. That let's say once these things are built, then you bring users. How do you make users engaged and build those communities and whatnot? I think I'm glad that we have people working on all the parts of the stack in India. Super.
I think I can only echo what you guys just said. Usability solved for numbers. And I think the other thing which I know Polygon is doing a lot of is getting traditional Web2 companies to adopt blockchain, either consumer-facing blockchain or using blockchain as some tech layer, to drive efficiency. And I think that is going to be the huge driver of अब GameFi से होना शुरू हुआ है, लेकिन there are a lot of financial institutions जो भी adopt करने लगे हैं, but I think there will be other Web2 players who will adopt it as well, and that will get the masses to come into this.
For me, it's always been that my securities, my stocks are going to go from Demat to tokens. That's my 1 million people answer.
Yeah. So at India, I think we are most excited about consumer applications. So we think blockchain is a very unique piece of technology, and we have had some interesting early use cases. Right now, with all the good work that Sandeep and Aniket are doing, I think we have the necessary infrastructure to start building consumer applications. So we would encourage builders to think of blockchain as an enabler, and using that enabler, what pressing problems can be solved today, and build in that direction. And those could go on to become really important things that onboard millions of users to Web3.
Perfect, thank you. So taking 1 more minute to tell everybody that at Foundership, we run a 6-month accelerator program, which gives you exactly what these gentlemen on stage told you should have. We give you contextual coaching from 2 to 4 coaches who are in the industry. We give you access to capital and capital support, and we also give you community and access to community. So if you need to go to Polygon, you need to go to any of the 4 companies on stage today, we will be able to open those doors for you immediately. And thank you everybody, thanks for taking the time, truly appreciate it. If you don't mind, can we do one pic with all of us and the Foundership team? Thanks.